From the annals of American crime, one name echoes with a distinct, unsettling blend of daring and disappearance: D.B. Cooper. His story isn't just a footnote. It is a chasm in our collective history, a legend whispered and debated. He was a phantom, a ghost in the machine of the sky, who performed an act so audacious, so utterly unthinkable, that it etched itself into the very fabric of our national consciousness. For decades, the question has persisted, a silent scream across the wilderness. Who was he, and where did he go? This is not just a tale of a skyjacking. It's a testament to a man who, against all odds, vanished. The date was November 24th, 1971. A Wednesday, the eve of Thanksgiving, a time when families gathered, and the world seemed a little softer, a little more predictable. But for those aboard Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, bound from Portland to Seattle, predictability was about to shatter. The air was crisp, the mood festive. None of the 36 passengers, nor the crew, could have imagined they were about to become unwitting participants in one of the most astonishing crimes ever committed. The ordinary was about to become extraordinary. The routine, a prelude to legend. A day, like any other, would soon become unforgettable. At precisely 2:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Flight 305, a Boeing 727-100, lifted off from Portland International Airport. At the controls was Captain William Scott, with First Officer Bob Ratakzak and Flight Engineer H. Anderson in the cockpit. In the cabin, a crew of dedicated flight attendants, including Tina Mucklow and Florence Schaffner, tended to their passengers. Among them, in seat 18C, sat a man who had checked in as Dan Cooper. He was nondescript, dressed in a dark suit, white shirt, black tie, and a dark overcoat. He carried a briefcase, a small, innocent detail that would soon become pivotal. Shortly after takeoff, while the flight was airborne and the fasten seatbelt sign had been extinguished, Cooper called flight attendant Florence Schaffner over. His voice was calm, unremarkable. He handed her a note, and Schaffner, assuming it was a lonely businessman hitting on her, tucked it into her purse and read. Cooper, however, was insistent. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The words, delivered without fanfare, without panic, sent a chill through Schaffner. The true nature of their passenger, and the unfolding nightmare, began to crystallize in that precise moment. The game had begun. Schaffner, now genuinely alarmed, did as she was told. She opened the note, a typewritten message on a piece of paper, and read it. Then, she asked Cooper to show her the bomb. Cooper, ever composed, obliged. He opened his briefcase just enough for her to see 8 red cylinders, bound together with wire, and a large, cylindrical battery. It was undeniably a bomb. The reality of the situation was stark, immediate, and terrifying. The cabin lights might have been dim, but the stark realization in Schaffner's mind was incandescent. This was no prank. This was deadly serious. Their lives, and the aircraft, were now under his absolute control. With the bomb threat established, Cooper laid out his chilling demands to Schaffner, who then relayed them to the cockpit. The instructions were precise, methodical, and left no room for ambiguity. He wanted $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, 4 parachutes, 2 main and 2 reserve, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the aircraft upon landing. The scale of the ransom was unprecedented for its time, a sum that spoke volumes about the man's ambition and meticulous planning. This wasn't a desperate act. It was a calculated maneuver, executed with unnerving composure. The stakes had been raised exponentially. Back in the cockpit, Captain Scott immediately contacted Air Traffic Control, who in turn alerted the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI quickly initiated their protocol for skyjackings, a then novel threat that was becoming increasingly common. While the authorities scrambled to gather the requested items, Cooper remained calm, even polite, in the cabin. He ordered a bourbon and soda, paid for it, and engaged flight attendant Tina Mucklow in conversation. He pointed out landmarks below, discussing Seattle with an almost tourist-like curiosity. This calm, almost detached demeanor was baffling, adding another layer to the enigma. After hours circling above Puget Sound while the demands were met, Flight 305 finally descended into Seattle-Tacoma International Airport at 5:39 p.m. The tarmac was eerily quiet, swarming with unseen FBI agents. Cooper had specified no police or military presence visible, and the authorities complied, creating a perimeter of armed personnel in strategic, hidden locations. The aircraft taxied to a secluded part of the airfield. This was the moment of truth, the point of no return. The fate of the passengers, the crew, and the unknown hijacker hung precariously in the evening air. The clock was ticking, and the tension was palpable. On the ground, a Northwest Airlines employee delivered a briefcase containing the $200,000 ransom and the 4 parachutes. Cooper, still composed, thoroughly inspected the money and the parachutes to ensure they met his exact specifications. Once satisfied, he allowed all 36 passengers and 2 flight attendants, Florence Schaffner and Alice Hancock, to disembark. He kept only the cockpit crew and flight attendant Tina Mucklow on board. This was a critical juncture, a moment of release for the innocent, and a tightening of the noose for the remaining crew. The stage was being set for the final act of his extraordinary plan. With the passengers safely off and the ransom secured, Cooper issued his final, chilling set of instructions. He demanded the plane be refueled and then take off, flying south toward Mexico City, but with specific, almost suicidal parameters. The plane was to fly below 10,000 feet, at a speed no faster than 200 knots, with the landing gear down and flaps extended to 15 degrees. The cabin was to remain unpressurized. These conditions were designed to make a parachute jump feasible, but also to make the aircraft extremely vulnerable. The intent was clear. He was preparing to jump, but into what? The crew was gripped by a stark realization. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 ascended once more into the inky blackness above Seattle. This time, the destination was not a bustling airport, but an unknown drop zone in the vast, rugged wilderness of the Pacific Northwest. Only 5 people remained on board: Cooper, Captain Scott, First Officer Ratakzak, Flight Engineer Anderson, and Flight Attendant Tina Mucklow, who was confined to the cockpit. The plane, flying low and slow, vibrated with an ominous hum. The night was dark, stormy, and offered virtually no visibility below. It was the perfect cloak for a vanishing act, a stage set for a disappearance of epic proportions. The suspense was unbearable. Around 8 p.m., somewhere over southwestern Washington state, Cooper made his move. He instructed Tina Mucklow to go to the cockpit and stay there. With the last human witness confined, he opened the aft air stair, the rear staircase of the Boeing 727, a feature unique to that aircraft. The roar of the wind and the engines must have been deafening. He then strapped on 2 of the parachutes, secured the money to his body, and without a word, without a farewell, without a trace, he launched himself into the violent, unforgiving night. A single man, $200,000, and a leap into the unknown. The conditions into which D.B. Cooper jumped were nothing short of treacherous. He plunged into a freezing, stormy night, with high winds, heavy rain, and zero visibility. The ground below was a dense, rugged wilderness of mountains, dense forests, and winding rivers. Survival in such an environment, even for an experienced parachutist, would have been a colossal challenge. Was he prepared for this? Was he a seasoned skydiver, or a desperate amateur? The choice to jump into such a maelstrom suggests either incredible bravery, foolish desperation, or perhaps a profound misunderstanding of the perils that awaited him. The gamble was immense. It wasn't until the aircraft landed safely at Reno Tahoe International Airport at 10:15 p.m. that the crew realized Cooper was gone. An immediate search of the plane confirmed their fears. He had indeed vanished. The aft air stair was still deployed. The 2 unused parachutes remained. The briefcase bomb was left behind. The FBI was immediately notified, and the full weight of federal law enforcement was brought to bear. But the damage was done. The Skyjacker had escaped. He had executed his plan with chilling precision, and left behind only questions and an unparalleled mystery. No body, no money, nothing. What followed was Operation Norjack, the FBI's most extensive and longest-running investigation in history. Hundreds of agents were assigned to the case, combing through the rugged terrain where Cooper was believed to have jumped, interviewing thousands of people, and chasing down every conceivable lead. The search covered vast swaths of the Pacific Northwest, involving military personnel, volunteers, and cutting-edge technology for the era. But the wilderness yielded nothing. No parachute, no remains, no trace of the $200,000. It was as if Cooper had simply dissolved into the storm, leaving behind only the legend. The scale of the hunt was epic. Then, 9 years later, in February 1980, a single, tantalizing clue emerged. 8-year-old Brian Ingram, on a family outing to Tina Bar along the Columbia River, uncovered 3 bundles of severely degraded $20 bills. The serial numbers matched those of the Cooper ransom money. In total, $5,800 was recovered. This was the first, and to this day, the *only confirmed physical evidence of Cooper or his money ever found. It reignited hope and speculation. Did Cooper survive? Did he dump the money? Or was this merely a fraction of his lost fortune, a grim testament to a failed escape? The answers remained elusive. The discovery at Tina Bar provided a crucial, albeit frustratingly small, piece of the puzzle. Forensic analysis of the bills suggested they had been exposed to water and erosion, consistent with being in the river for an extended period. This led to theories about the possible drop zone. Could the money have washed downriver from Cooper's landing site? Or did he land, stash the money, and then perhaps meet his end elsewhere? The recovery of just a fraction of the ransom only deepened the mystery, confirming the money's authenticity without revealing the fate of the man who took it. It was a cruel tease, a partial answer to a full-sized enigma. Decades later, the D.B. Cooper case remains officially open, one of the FBI's most enduring cold cases. Countless theories have emerged, each trying to explain the unexplainable. Was he an experienced paratrooper, a military veteran who meticulously planned his escape? Or was he a novice, overestimating his abilities and perishing in the harsh wilderness? Some believe he survived, lived a new life under a new identity, an unseen phantom walking among us. Others contend he died, his body lost forever in the vastness of the Pacific Northwest, a silent monument to his audacious gamble. The truth, stubbornly, refuses to surface. D.B. Cooper captured the public imagination like few criminals before or since. He became a folk hero to some, a symbol of rebellion against corporate power, a daring anti-hero who beat the system. Movies, books, and songs have immortalized his name. Yet, beneath the mythology lies the cold, hard fact. A man disappeared, a substantial sum of money vanished, and a crime went unpunished. His actions led to significant changes in airline security, including the installation of Cooper vanes on Boeing 727s to prevent similar aft airstair jumps. His legacy, though unclaimed by any individual, shaped the very industry he defied. More than 50 years have passed since that stormy Thanksgiving Eve. The FBI officially suspended active investigation into the case in 2016, citing the need to focus resources on higher priority threats, though they maintain the file. D.B. Cooper, whether he survived or perished, remains an enigma. He challenged the very notion of what was possible, executing a meticulously planned crime and escaping into the unknown. His story is a testament to human ingenuity, audacity, and the tantalizing possibility of a perfect crime. He is the Skyjacker who got away, the ghost in the machine, forever etched into the lore of the Pacific Northwest. And perhaps, that is how he always intended to be remembered.